Hello and welcome to Bangladesh Today. Bangladesh has been battling Islamic terrorism on the one hand and protests by major opposition Islamic party, the Jamaat-e-Islami, on the other. 9 top leaders of the Jamaat-e-Islami, including its former and present chiefs, are facing trial before a tribunal set up to try alleged war criminals. To talk more about Bangladesh's domestic politics and its crackdown on Islamic terror, we have with us Nitin Gokhale, a senior journalist who specializes in Northeast Indian and Bangladeshi strategic affairs. Welcome to the show, Nitin.
Thank you, Smita.
Okay, I want to begin by asking you that Bangladesh, on the one hand, is cracking down on Islamic terror groups operating within its soil, and this is despite it being an Islamic nation and having these domestic issues where the political parties do not like the idea that the regime of Sheikh Hasina is cracking down on them, is cooperating with India. How far has Bangladesh been successful in cracking down on these Islamic terror groups?
Oh, very successful. Ever since Sheikh Hasina came back to power in 2009, she has come with a predetermined plan to crack down on Islamic terrorism and Islamic parties who are very hardline agendas on their party agendas. And what she has done successfully is to marginalize those parties by forming that war crimes tribunal which is there, which is now about to pronounce its judgment, and also bringing to book the alleged war criminals who had actually created a mayhem in 1971. So in a way she has won back the secular constituency in Bangladesh by doing this, and also her foreign policy is based on this entire crackdown that she has planned against Islamic terrorists and Islamic fundamentalists, which in a way helps the region and more particularly India.
Okay, now tell me, how difficult is it for a political party to crack down on terror groups when you know that you may not get the support of the local population in doing that? First question, of course, is does Sheikh Hasina have the popular support in her country to crack down on these terror groups? And two, has she been able to surmount that problem?
Well, I think if you have to look at popular support, she won a landslide in that election. So I'm sure she takes strength from there. But certainly the politics in Bangladesh is divided along the lines of pro-Awami League and anti-Awami League parties. BNP is certainly the opposition party which does not like the crackdown on the Jamaat and the other hardliners. But I would say overall Sheikh Hasina does have the support of majority of the population. They may not like some elements of vindictiveness that has creeped into the kind of crackdown that has happened, or the war crimes tribunal trials that have seemed to go one-sided kind of thing against some of those alleged war criminals. But certainly she has an overall, I would think, overall support in this crackdown, and she's doing it because she wants to get rid of this influence on Bangladesh's politics.
See, there's a lot of media reports suggest that there's this neo-middle class in Bangladesh, and they really don't want their country to go down Pakistan's way, where terror groups have a free run, and they have infiltrated. Those terror groups have infiltrated into Pakistan polity, into every aspect of Pakistani life, and Bangladeshis, the neo-middle class out there, don't want that to happen in their country. So, is that possible that their voice gets heard by the political parties and they refuse to back these elements?
Certainly. In fact, I think Sheikh Hasina's support comes from two major groups in the country. One is, of course, the poor who supported her in coming back to power in large numbers, and the affluent. In fact, in Bangladesh there is really no middle class. It's only emerging now over the past decade or so. But the rich, or let's say upper middle class section of the Bangladeshi population does not want the kind of situation that exists in Pakistan, and therefore they also tacitly, they may not do it openly, but they also tacitly support this approach by the Sheikh Hasina government.
Does that happen, does this conflict happen everywhere in our neighborhood, where the affluent really don't want their country to go down the path of Islamic militancy, and it's the poor which is divided because their cultural identity is on, is different, and their Islamic identity could be different. Is that the problem that occurs all around our neighborhood, or is it just
I
restricted?
think it's restricted to Pakistan and Bangladesh really. And if you take the case of Sri Lanka, which is
It's
another
happening in
case,
Maldives also,
it's
right?
happening. I was coming to that. That Maldives is a small country but very important country in our neighborhood. There also the rise of Islamic fundamentalism is of course worrying to the people who look at the South Asia security aspects. But I would say Bangladesh in a way is much better off than Maldives or even Pakistan. Certainly better than Pakistan because of its history. Remember, Bangladesh was born because it did not want to get submerged
Correct.
in the West Pakistani identity, and they had this Bangla identity which they wanted to assert, and from there the nation was born. So I think the division among the population, if you're talking about backing fundamentalist or anti-fundamentalist people, it is basically arising out of who has been aligned to which party in the dawn of independence of
Yeah.
Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So it comes from there. But overall, I would think Bangladesh is better off in terms of secular credentials if you want to really look at.
So what happens to the terror groups which are operating in Bangladesh? Do they get ground support in their country when they for these terror groups? The reason I'm asking that is because the frontline states in the northeast which border Bangladesh, now they say that the insurgent groups get support from Bangladeshi militant groups, and then there is infiltration. So how does that impact upon the northeastern states, and how does Bangladesh deal with this?
See, we'll have to go back a little bit. If you look at, say, in the period between 2000 and 2008 or 2009, Bangladesh was going through a turmoil, and that time the rise of Islamic fundamentalist was seen in Bangladesh, and that time Pakistan was using Bangladesh to niddle India in its northeastern states especially, and the ties between the Pakistani extremist elements and the Bangladeshi fundamentalist elements was they were very strong at that point in time. So but the situation has turned around under Sheikh Hasina. She has determinedly gone against the Islamic fundamentalists. Remember, Jamaat was a coalition partner in the previous government,
The BNP, yeah.
BNP government. So there they had actually started spreading themselves, having their influence, disproportionate influence, I would say. In fact, I remember one of our colleagues in India had written Bangladesh, the next Afghanistan,
Yeah.
a book on that. But
Is that over?
well, it was overestimated, I think, and that's more or less over because Bangladesh has gone very determinedly against Islamic fundamentalists and fundamentalism, and it has crossed the hump in a way. But if you're asking me about the impact on the northeastern states, what was happening was the northeastern insurgent groups were getting shelter in the previous regime, and they were having a free run in Bangladesh. So they were actually using Bangladesh as a sanctuary to harass and intimidate people in the northeast. They were operating from there very freely. After Sheikh Hasina came, we know how she's cracked down and has helped India nab frontline leaders of the United Liberation Front of Assam, of the NDFB, and also the UNLF in Manipur. So in a way, she has helped India turn around the situation in the northeast, and therefore India has to now reciprocate because she has always been India positive. Let's face this, given the history of her father,
Yeah.
and the way she has always.
But have we put all our eggs, we in the sense, has India put all its eggs in one basket, even as far as strategic issues are concerned? Because yes, Khalida Zia did visit India. Now, is there some kind of back channel talks that India is having with both political parties that, you better cooperate with us on strategic matters because this is harmful to your own country? If this kind of, a pan-Islamic terror group formation takes place in Bangladesh with support or active tacit support of Pakistani militant groups, it's going to, and the Wahhabi culture that comes in with that, it's going to be harmful to Bangladesh as well. So is there some kind of a political consensus in Bangladesh regarding cooperation with India?
Well, there's no political consensus. We know how far apart these two parties and these two ladies are in their approach.
But for the sake of a national cause?
I think the back channel talks are on. She's been given this message and she's also understood. I think I'm talking about Begum Khalida Zia. She's ruled the country. She knows what is in the good, the better interest of Bangladesh. And her visit in recent times to India, I think indicates that she's also mellowing down and also may not be publicly the anti-India stance that her party is supposed to take all the time, and also encourage anti-India activities or anti-India elements in Bangladesh. I think that is going to change, because ultimately the strategic interests of Bangladesh and India are intertwined. Okay. We cannot change geography, and she also knows it. She may publicly oppose Indian policies, Indian approach, but I think she has also got the message.
Now, I also want to talk to you about the terror camps that are still existing in Bangladesh. They say that, you know, the Indian insurgent groups continue to get refuge there. They continue to get arms and equipment, whether it comes via some other place into those terror camps in Bangladesh. How successful has Bangladesh been in cracking down on these terror camps? And, well, we don't have an extradition treaty, but we have managed to get some terrorists back. So, how successful is this, and will it continue if Sheikh Hasina is not in power in the next couple of months?
I think it will continue. They may not actively hand over people, but they will not even encourage setting up of new camps or give a free run to the terrorists in Bangladesh, even if another regime comes there, provided the elections happen and then another regime comes. But how successful, you asked me. I think Bangladesh has been our most successful partner in counter-terrorism in the subcontinent, because as I mentioned, those leaders were caught, handed over, despite no extradition treaty between the two countries, although we are now negotiating and perhaps sign it in the next couple of months. When the Home Minister from India goes to Bangladesh in January, most probably there will be an extradition treaty signed. But I am convinced that security agencies and even the militaries of both the countries are working in tandem. Even if another regime comes, I think that cooperation will continue.
You know, the media seems, at least that is what people say, that the media is fixated on Anup Chetia and Paresh Barua. How important were the other terror groups which are operating there, or other terrorists who have, you know, India's managed to nab thanks to Bangladesh? How important were those guys?
Well, look at the UNLF, the Manipuri group, the gentleman who was shown to be caught on the Nepal border, but was actually operating in RK Meghen, is his name, Osana Yama is the assumed name. He is in the Indian custody thanks to the Bangladeshi efforts. So is the chairman of United Liberation Front of Assam, Alpha Arvinda Rajkhwa. Paresh Barua certainly is a hardliner, and Anup Chetia has been in the jail in Bangladesh. So his influence has waned over the years. In a way, so they're sort of marginalized, I would say, in the insurgent firmament, really. So Bangladesh has done very well for India, and India must acknowledge this and must keep on cooperating with Bangladesh to help Bangladesh nab and contain terrorist activities there. We have done this in a way which was not very publicized, in a big way. But in January 2012, India actually tipped off Bangladesh about a coup attempt, an aborted coup attempt, and which helped the Bangladeshi army to actually crack down.
That seemed a little odd, though, that coup attempt. Was it really something that was happening there, that coup attempt?
Well, I would say
there were these 3 coups in a month in Maldives, in Bangladesh.
You can read
never happened, actually.
You can read conspiracies in that, but Bangladesh is known to sort of erupt with small incidents. So in a way, Bangladeshi army has realized that it needs to weed out these elements, and I think India has really worked hard to reciprocate Bangladesh's gesture in nabbing the terrorist Indian insurgents or terrorists, whatever you want to call. So India has tried to help Bangladesh in a way by doing this security cooperation and taking it to the next level. I would think the elements will always exist in South Asia. The elements who are hardliners, who are fundamentalists, they will always exist. It's an ongoing battle. It depends on how the two governments calibrate that fight against terrorism and fundamentalism.
See, there are many in India who say that we should seal the border and between India and Bangladesh. It's a very complicated task, but they say that why can't it be done? The others who say that unless we cooperate with Bangladesh and unless Bangladesh comes to the level there that they can come in and go out in any manner, we should have it as open borders. Now, these are two extreme points of view. Where is the reality and what is actually doable?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you asked me that question because I lived in Assam for 23 years and reported from there, the entire northeast. So I have a fair idea of what's the on-ground situation. See, it's impossible to seal the border. Seal the border as they couldn't seal it between the two Germanys. So forget about India, Bangladesh in a sense.
You're talking geographically, not
geographically,
okay.
Geographically, because of the riverine nature. And also, you cannot distinguish between people who want to really see. There used to be a push factor and there used to be a pull factor. Both used to combine in the 70s and 80s. And if you go back to history, maybe in the beginning of the 20th century. Today, Bangladesh has improved its economic condition to an extent where people do not need to really come to Assam to earn the same amount of money in that sense. So it's come down to a trickle. The illegal migration, if we are talking about, but I'm not saying it's stopped. It needs to be stopped, and there are ways of doing it. A win-win situation can be created if we look at a work permit system.
You come in and go.
Come in and go. No voting rights in India, but you come and help, because today, let me tell you, the northeast of India, especially Assam, is dependent economically or for a lot of work, a lot of jobs in the Assam economy are done by people of Bangladeshi origin. I can't say whether they've come yesterday or they've come 20 years ago, but they are the ones who are driving the economy in certain sectors.
But it's a very complicated procedure,
it's a very
isn't
complicated.
it? About having work permits to come and go, because then you need policing to such an extent, and you need soft policing, you know, not the BSF and the Rangers kind where they shoot at sight. Now there's been told not to shoot at sight unless there is an attack. But still you need that sensitivity of border patrolling in that, and these work permits. It's a very complicated procedure. Do you think that such kind of a thing is feasible?
It is not feasible at first glance, really. But the other suggestion that we've had in Assam and elsewhere is to improve the condition of the border areas in Bangladesh. Give them, aid or money or some industries to be set up there, so that the people there do not feel the need to come into Assam. To earn money. So improve the condition there.
Again, an idealistic situation.
No, but it has been worked out in very many places. In Bangladesh, really, people are very hardworking. I mean, let's say, one has seen, and therefore one must harness that energy instead of playing politics with it all the time.
So do you think that it probably didn't happen because she had domestic compulsions, India had its domestic compulsions, but with a new government in place, hopefully Sheikh Hasina's or Khaleda Zia, they would both understand that this is necessary for their country as well, and maybe when the two countries will be able to deliver?
Of course, I am very hopeful, and when I speak to friends back in Dhaka or in Bangladesh, they always say that we understand that there are political problems. There is no country as politicized or as politically divided as Bangladesh, really. If you see in South Asia, not even Pakistan, where Bangladesh is extremely volatile and extremely vocal politically.
And very bipolar.
And very bipolar and very vocal. The common people are very vocal about politics and political issues. So there it's difficult for consensus to emerge. But I am hopeful that when both countries and both parties in Bangladesh realize that it's in their interest, economic interest of the people and their country's interest, that India and Bangladesh should cooperate, I think we have a way forward and a very positive way forward.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Nitin.
A pleasure, always a pleasure.